So, like, if I'm gonna do part one, so if I gave you, kind of back it up from this table for a second, if I gave you x squared plus 2x and said find h prime of 1, you would take the derivative of this term, so you get 2x, right? Derivative of this term, and then you would plug in 1, so you'd go 2 times 1 plus 2. Agree with that? Alright, so for this table, they're giving you this, and they're saying find h prime of 1. Well, first let's find h prime of x. So what's the derivative of f of x? Don't look at the table, just what's the derivative of f of x? F prime of x. Plus, what's the derivative of g of x? G prime of x. Now, I can't plug 1 into an equation because I don't have an equation. But I can plug 1 in to, like, my table. So what's f prime of 1? Negative 2. What's g prime of 1? 1. What's negative 2 plus 1? You guys are all over it now. Does that make sense? No, it's fine. I don't mind giving you a boost. I was just bamboozled by the right now, not right now.
So should I write it down or not?
I don't give a crap. Like, I was afraid people were going to start copying on this table, which would take a long time, and you don't have to. But I want you to write down, like, this word. But I kept saying write down the word.
You didn't imply that correctly.
Are there more people? Where were you guys? Where were you guys? I don't care. I'm just.
Miss Gail? What? Is he taking a test?
I wasn't like that. You're late. I was wondering if they were more involved. It's like, oh, that's good. Have classes going. When this class yesterday, no, that's broken. That's broken. Not this one. This is a replacement.
Wait, so it would be,
But that's the two that
you have like David Blaine or Connor Walsh.
So his name again?
David Blaine. No, I know you have David Blaine.
I know.
You the guy that you had.
Sounds kind of
He's a bit of
I don't know whether I take that literally or like you just think he's
No, it's like actually
like your friend.
yeah, David Blaine.
I don't really
They used to
remember.
break desks in quarters. They sit on the edge of his bounce on over.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's real funny.
Structural property theory.
Well, like, yeah, it kind of is.
So let me do number 2. Alright? So for 2, part 2, the derivative of h of x would be f prime of x minus g prime of x. So we have a rule for products and quotients, right? Like this is going to be product rule. I don't know if you got this far yet. This is going to be quotient rule. But we don't have rules for addition and subtraction. It's just like you basically just do it like the way it looks. So I take the derivative of that, take the derivative of that, and again, take the derivative of that, minus take the derivative of that. And then in number 2, I'm just plugging in whatever number, so 4. So f prime of 4 minus g prime of 4. So f prime of 4 is 1 minus g prime of 4 is negative 1, so number 2 is 2. Is that okay for part 2? So let me try part 3. So part 3 is a little different. this is a function of x times a function of x. So you can't just do like the derivative of f and the derivative of g and multiply together. That doesn't work. That's why a product rule exists. So you gotta, like, you could call this a, b, b, a, or you can remember the product rule this way with f's and g's. The product rule says you take the second thing and then you multiply by the derivative of the first thing plus the first thing, and then you multiply by the derivative of the second thing. So if you just do f prime times g prime, you will not get the same answer. You will get an incorrect answer.
Where are you guys coming from?
People just keep. You ever see that Coolio video where the people just keep coming out of the trunk? So this is like.
Where's Ethan? You haven't located Ethan.
You know what I'm talking about?
I have a program with Coolio
Sweet.
Yeah, it's like that.
Alright. So this is like the main point I'm trying to make is you cannot, if two things are being multiplied together, you can't just do f prime times g prime. You gotta do the product rule. If two things are being divided, you cannot just do like f prime divided by g prime. You gotta do quotient. So for this one, h prime of 3. So you don't necessarily need to write this out. I think you probably just look at the table and do it. But just to try to teach it, so g prime of 3. So then f or g of 3 is 4. F prime of 3 is 3 halves. F of 3 is 3. And then g prime of 3 is 1 half. 0.5, whatever. So 4 times 1.5 is 6. 3 times 0.5 is 1.5. So this would be 7.5. And if you had just done, so the common mistake is you just kind of forget that you have to use product rule. It's not an option. It's not a suggestion. It is mandatory. If you had just done f prime times g prime, would you get the same answer? You would not. So don't do that. So try that quotient rule. Try part 4. Part 4. Part 4. Parker.
Parker Pryor.
Is anybody still writing down this one? Riley, are you still writing this? You're good? No, go ahead. I'm not like in a hurry. I was asking. Go ahead, right? Like you can say no. Minus the big brackets, right?
Big brackets because
Big. Every time you speak, small. Would you like to? I can see. that's what, is that right?
Yeah.
So you got that right. Now you guys good, Delaney, bro? So for quotient rule, just to kind of reinforce what I was saying yesterday, the order if you do it in the order I showed you, the order stays, and you just change this to a minus. And then you put it over the bottom squared, so it's over g of x squared. So if I just plug in 3's, in all of these spots, it'd be cool if you guys could do this on your paper, just like erase them right over it. Yeah, but it doesn't quite work as well, you know. So g of 3 is the same number as it was a second ago, right? So 4 times 3 halves minus 3 times 1 half over 4 squared. So we got a little work to do there to clean that up, but do you see where I'm getting those numbers from? Questions on that one at all? And then, so 4 times 3 halves is 6. 3 times 1 half, kind of got to stick with 3 halves for now, over 16. And then, if I want to reduce this and get it so it's not like a fraction over a fraction, 6 is 12 over 2. 12 over 2 minus 3 over 2 is 9 over 2. And then instead of dividing by 16, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, so multiply by 1/16. So I end up with 9 over 32 for that one. How many have that one? Questions on it? Where'd you get this? Why did this happen? What'd you do here? Okay. Try this next one. It's like updates when I shift modes. Wait, don't do that one yet. I think that. Hold on, don't do that one yet. No, you did not already do it. Shit. Yeah, if you have the answers, you're all set. You're great shit. 9 over 32.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Expand on it.
So did you have 4.5 over 16? So no, like if you were at the first spot part of the AP test, you could just leave it. If you're on my test, you can just leave it. But if multiple choice, you're gonna be able to match up with what they put, and they would put 9 over 32. So try all 4 parts, please. Please, thank you. Can I? I don't want to talk about writing things down anymore today. Can you just ask what you're doing? Problem on the floor. Just again.
You're entitled to your own opinion.
not saying this.
Maybe you should have specified that before you started talking. That was also confused that you thought you were just eventually I did. Mr. Davis, how do you get through a hardship with your friends? Oh my God, he's here! Where are you?
Basically, it's the same thing as yesterday. Right. Exactly.
So you added up.
It's like plugging the numbers instead of it's like product. Like those are your answers. Okay. Okay. What's the first number? The first row. Oh, okay. It's another thing.
So one, two, just the derivative of h would be f prime plus g. And then you add up the g. Because you just do like that plus g instead of three. Okay. And then were you?
Makes sense, kind of.
Someone else came out of Coolio's car.
Huh? You got a new car?
No. There was an old music video. What was the song? Gangster's Paradise. And he had this car on the beach and the trunk was open. And like 1,000 people came out of it to go to this party. And they just kept coming. And that's what this class is doing. I like you finish your work. Yeah, that one. Alright, I'll show you.
No, you don't need it. Don't draw that. Don't do that.
What?
Don't do that. Don't draw it. Don't. Mr. Davis will get very upset with you if you draw.
I was never upset about that.
Huh?
Game back on the fight.
Oh no, not again. He's in a very on you. Make sure you come to school before 7:15.
Too soon. Too soon?
Too late.
Yeah, cars.
What? Well, no, you was speeding. Well, maybe you should not wait.
They wrote tickets for you, right?
Oh, speaking of. I gotta go to
I said, me and Mike got in a fight. So watch out.
Yeah.
He must have been holding that anchor because it's been like a year since he's had me in class. Every time
What? They're making me go to juvenile. Because it's Ohio, and Ohio sucks. I know Ohio sucks. I
What
gotta
do you have to do?
They're gonna give me a court date. I have to go to juvenile. All the way to Sandusky. It's so stupid.
So far.
Yeah. What? So I understand. So like I was coming up the stop sign, and this lady's going like 40, and it's 25, but it defaults to mine. Because it's
You were out.
I was already out, and it's a two-way because I stopped, but she was like definitely speeding. When she hit me, her airbag went off. And, like, I don't know. She said she tried to break and swerve, and all I was she lied to the cop. I pulled her and said, yeah, I pulled out. And it defaulted. He's like, you understand that I have to write you ticket? Yeah. And then I called St. Louis. They're like, oh yeah, you can't get online. Give me a court date. It's just to squeeze more money out of you. I have to show up and pay more court fines. I will do an overnighter. I will have it. It's making me all walks.
Everyone in this class has the story memorized by now.
Yeah, we reenacted it. We have 4 cars. Well, so this is Ryan. This is Ryan's car.
Man, we should definitely have a privilege.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to pay off.
No, I mean, if you have enough people that come in there and say that, it would be
Yeah,
all right.
It's fine. Fine, I'll speak on your behalf. Okay, yeah. I'll subpoena you.
Oh,
Did you guys get these numbers?
I got all of it except
Four? Oh, I plugged in like the same numbers as the previous.
I literally
So it's 2. Hey, what'd you get for 4? 3 F? Yeah. 6 over 4.
6 over 4.
Yeah. Alright. So, lastly. So just to review again. If I have just addition, there's no real rule. You just do F prime and G prime and add them up. Subtraction, there's no real rule. You just do term by term, add them up. If you do F prime times G prime, you will not get the right answer. If 2 things are being multiplied together, you have to use product rule. Always. 2 things are being divided, you have to use quotient rule. Or rewrite it a different way, which we'll get into coming up. But. So check those numbers. If you got any questions on those, let me know. And then, I just want to review one thing with you. I'll give you your work for the day.
Oh, come back. Wait, no, you gonna show us the video?
In a minute.
not a lot. Yeah.
Mr. Davis, what's this little black chair for?
You guys are really good at asking questions like right when I'm in the middle of something. Yeah, so like I'm trying to teach and you're like, usually it's Ben, but now Jack's jumping in.
I don't think you still like that.
Oh.
Now Matthew Bogoski is acting out in class. What is going on? And then you put your chest like up and it's supposed to keep your posture. But what ends up happening to me is I get tired and I sit in that chair and I'm still like, holy shit.
Jack, sit.
Try to answer these questions. I don't care if you write them down, do them in your head, whatever. I've had you type these up. We've gone through them 2 or 3 times. I'm just trying to hit again. You should be able to do those 5 things. You typed it in school, yeah. But do you remember it?
I don't remember.
Well, then you didn't. Then you should. It is. I'm going to call on 5 people in like 2 minutes, and you're going to tell me. So if you round to accomplish that. Five. I don't know. I don't care. It's not my job for you to make up your missing assignments. How many people have replied? Yeah, so I gave this as a Schoology assignment. There are about 20 people in here. 4 of you have replied.
Devin wrote a whole paper.
It's a check mark.
Dude, I didn't know how to do it.
And then you plug it in that way. The Schoology thing? Yes. I need it written out and explained to me like I don't know what I'm doing. Yes. No, I know how to take the derivative. Strangely, I know that, but I don't know. What's the point? What's that? Alright. Be a volunteer. How about the slope of the tangent line? Devin.
Basically, you just use the power rule. So, like, let's say you have an equation, right?
Okay.
Alright? And then you do the power rule. So, like, you take the x on it.
What if my equation was a product?
Was it what?
Was a product or a quotient?
I'll do this.
So you take the derivative, whatever it is. It might be a product, it might be a quotient, it might be a power rule.
Take the derivative.
Yeah.
However you have to. And then what you do is you simply just like plug in your
Yep. How do I find the derivative at a point? You know what? I'm gonna lose my mind. You guys gotta understand something. You expect me, this is like the 4th time I've gotten this question. I put every single thing we do in school. That's not my problem. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad because it's the 5th person that's asked me today. It is your job to do your assignments. If I put something on Schoology, I expect you to look at it, I expect you to do it. I've also said it like 4 times. Don't come at me and be like, oh, you didn't tell me, I don't know where this is. Not my problem. This is not freshman algebra. Again, I'm not mad at any individual. I'm mad at the collective. Like, there's 4 people that have done it on 20. And then I got other people telling me, I don't know, you never signed this. Was I here? I don't care if you're here or not. It's your job. I can take away the like right to do retakes if you want. How do I find the derivative out of point? I won't be mad at the person who talks.
Okay, well, basically, would it be pretty much like the same thing?
It's the exact same thing Devin just said, isn't it? The slope at a point and the derivative at a point are the exact same thing. So you take the derivative, and that might be quotient rule, it might be product rule now, we know those 2 things. Or it could be power rule like we were doing before. And then you just plug in the x value. So number 1 and 2 are the exact same answer. For 3, the equation of the tangent line, you're going to use that point slope form. trying to remind you. So it's that blank equals x minus blank plus blank. What goes in that slot? The x value, what goes in that slot? The y value, and then this is the slope, and how do you find slope is what Devin said up here. Take the derivative and plug in. The equation of the normal line, you do everything the same except when you find the slope using the derivative, after you plug in, you're going to get a number. What do you do with that number if I'm looking for the normal line? Flip it over and change the sign. And then horizontal tangents. Take the derivative, that's like first time almost everything in here. Take the derivative. And then what do I do with the derivative if I want horizontal tangents? Set it equal to 0. Because the horizontal line is the slope of 0. Yes. So this is practice on the tables and practice on the stuff that we were just talking about. But now when you're finding like all of those things, I can throw a motion rule in, I can throw a product rule in. Because we know those things. For normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you find the slope by plugging into the derivative and then flip and flip. Yeah. For number 4, what? Are you talking about 4 up here? You plug in the point that you have. Well, just an x value, though, really. Oh. Are we talking about up here still? You take the derivative, because the derivative tells you slope. And I want the slope to be horizontal, which is 0. So I take the derivative and set it equal to 0. Yes. So at this point, we've learned all the stuff to do all of the con. It's not due until next week. You'll have some time tomorrow. But yeah, we've covered everything. If someone says what con, my head might explode. Just FYI. Where do I get the con from? You never told us we had con. You mean like CON?